Do you want to create your own custom islands in Fortnite? Are you confused about what all of the island settings actually do and need some guidance? Are you a creator that's getting back into creative and notice that it's all different now? If you answered yes to these questions, then this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use and navigate the new user interface for the island settings to customize your island further in Fortnite Creative mode. I will try my best not to bore you, as this can be a boring subject, but it is an important segment to go over all of these settings. So stay tuned, hit the like button, as it really helps support the channel, and subscribe for more Fortnite Creative tutorials. First, we gotta open up the island settings. You can do this from the start menu or by pressing the correct keybind. I'm currently on a PlayStation 5, so I can press the touchpad on my controller to bring it up quickly. If it is on a different tab when you open it, you can press R1 or L1 to open the next tab to get to the island settings. To customize settings for your island, you need to make sure you're on the right tab, then select your category and subcategory. If you're looking for a specific setting, you can use the search bar to enter the setting name. Across the bottom of the screen for all island settings is a row of buttons. You can clear your search, you can restore all the default island settings back to their default values, you can start the game from here, and you can also use the event browser from here. Once your game includes hundreds of devices you put in, the event browser becomes very key, as it can teleport you directly to the device. You know, in case you forgot where you placed it. In island settings, the first category on the left side is the overview category. It provides access to tools that you can use to describe and publish your island. You can also make backups and restore from those backups if needed, and reset the island to its original settings. You can enter in the game title and descriptions here, and this is where it will show in the preview of the map when people are searching for it or when it is found on the discovery page. When you apply and get accepted into the Island Creator program, then you'll be able to publish your maps from here. I will do another video soon on how to actually publish a map as an island creator. A mode is how you see or experience something. In Fortnite, a game mode is about who can play and how. The mode settings are where you can set things like when and how your game starts, where and when players can spawn into the game, how to assign and track scores, and other factors that influence or control gameplay. From the Island Settings tab, click the Mode category, then click a subcategory to expand it. Island settings provide a baseline for your game, but some device settings such as team settings and inventory and class designer can override these settings. Under Mode, there are a number of subcategories you can modify to change gameplay, and many of these subcategories have multiple settings. If you know the name of a setting you want to change, you can use the search bar to find it, as there are a lot of settings and it may be tough to memorize for some. The subcategory structure addresses the basic structure of your game: player limits, team member distribution, and number of rounds. Here you can change the max number of players that can play your map at the same time. With the team settings, you can choose the game type and number of teams. Is it a free-for-all like solo battle royale? Is it a co-op game where there's no PvP? Or is it a team game? You can also set the total number of rounds up to 100 rounds. Matchmaking is how players match up in your games. Island matchmaking privacy can be important, as you can choose public or private games, but recently Epic added in party choice to this setting, which gives the player the option of choosing either public or private, which should be the most common choice for most creators. For the team fill option, you can only access this option when team size under structure is set to between 2 and 4. If set to party choice, the players can choose their teams. If set to must fill, players are automatically assigned to teams. Team settings deal primarily with how team members identify each other and distinguish themselves from other teams. Friendly fire option gives the ability to set whether players on the same team can take damage from one another. Team rotation means you can set how often teams are rotated. Rotation is not supported if teams are asymmetric, or if teams is set to cooperative under the structure subcategory. You can change the UI team colors here. If set to relationship, it will be like most online team games where the user's team is blue and the opposing team is red. Or you can specify the team colors within the team settings and inventory device. Team visuals determined at determines whether team names and colors stay as assigned at game start or change at the start of each round. Class refers to any set of attributes or inventories, such as weapons, consumables, and so on, that can be assigned to a player or a group of players. The values you assign here are a baseline for your game, but can be overridden by some of the devices. The default class identifier determines the default class for players at the game start, or in the event that their class is reset by a device. The revert to default class setting determines when a player's class should be reset. These settings control the elements that affect when your game starts. Auto start settings other than the off setting only work with published islands. When set to off, the game will start when manually activated on a private game, and start with a 90-second countdown on public games. For a published island, you can set this to immediate or select a time. You can set the countdown time once a game starts. This setting applies to both game and round starts. Force start at max players makes it so that the game will start once the maximum number of players is reached. Force start delay puts a time delay on a force start. Spawning settings define where and how players spawn or respawn in a game. You can set where the players will spawn at the game start with the spawn location option. Spawn pad selection means that at the start of a game, the selected spawn pad will always be random, but respawns have the option of remaining random or spawning players near their teammates. The respawn type option allows you to change this setting to wave, where eliminated players will respawn together once they are all eliminated. Otherwise, eliminated players will spawn one at a time. Respawn time is pretty straightforward, as it is the amount of time a player must wait before they can spawn back into the game. Spawn immunity time determines how long a player is invulnerable after spawning. If the default invulnerable time granted to a player on respawn should be overridden, you can change the override spawn immunity time. Only allow respawn if spawn pads are found. If this is set to on, a player can only respawn to a spawn pad after elimination, and never from the sky. The spawn limit setting is good for certain types of games. This sets how many times a player can spawn in the game. If any amount other than infinite, the initial spawn counts as 1. So letting a player respawn twice after the start of the game will require a limit of 3. In my Super Smash Bros. Style game called Platform Melee Battles, this allowed me to give each player only 3 lives during each round. Join in progress is an important setting in my opinion, as it can easily be missed and is typically automatically set to spawn on next round. But depending on the game, I typically choose the spawn option, as it allows people entering the game to join in at any point instead of waiting around for the round to finish. Obviously, certain games can't work with this option, but I try to make my games have it so I don't lose out on any players exiting without playing because they do not want to wait around. Post-game spawn locations means with the default island start setting, players will respawn on the island start spawn pads or in the sky. If set to pre-game location, players will return to their start of game positions. The last option here is after last spawn go to, and that will determine where a player goes when all their spawns are used up. These settings help to define consequences when a player is eliminated. The down but not out setting determines the down but not out state. We have default, which sets automatically based on the team size. For a team of 1 player, this will be off. For a team of 2 or more, classic is applied as the default. We also have improved, which adds interactions like opening doors and dropping inventory items. Turning this to off disables this setting entirely. You can choose if you want players to drop a reboot card or not. Note that you must have a reboot van placed on your map for this to work properly. Squad multi-interaction allows multiple players to revive one downed player. Eliminated players' items can be dropped, kept, or deleted once they are eliminated. The next few settings are all similar. You can grant health, wood, stone, metal, and gold upon eliminating another player. You can also customize this further using the Elimination Manager device. You can allow manual respawning in your game that allows players to respawn manually by opening the start menu. This is good to have in most games in case players find a glitch or get stuck in a random space that they cannot get out of, which I have happened to me in one of my games. You can also set the player elimination audio to on or off when a player is eliminated. If you have vehicles in your game, you can set a vehicle trick score multiplier to apply a multiplier to any trick score earned with the vehicle. You can show individual scores, and if set to yes, individual player scores will display on the scoreboard. If set to no, the cumulative score for all teams will display. If you have a game based on time alive start point, you can choose when a player's time alive starts to count. Time alive team tracking method is for when counting time alive for a team. It can be based on the sum of all players' time alive, on the player on the team with the longest time alive, or the player with the shortest time alive. Use team score is for team games. If set to yes, teams are scored by the sum of all players' scores for that team. This allows teams to retain all score if a player leaves the team or the game. Elimination score allows you to set the amount of score awarded when a player eliminates another player. Assist score is similar to elimination score, where it's the amount of score awarded to a player when they help to eliminate another player but don't take the final elimination. This setting controls how players can communicate with each other in the game. The voice chat option makes it so that the team option restricts chat to team members only. The all option allows players to chat with any players in the game. Switching this to the none option restricts all chat. When a player is eliminated and cannot respawn, some games allow the player to remain in the game to watch the gameplay. Here you can determine whether players can watch other teams. End conditions are those conditions that must be met to end a game regardless of winners or losers. If you want a game that's like a battle royale where the last player standing wins, you can change the last standing ends game option to on. All teams must finish. If set to yes, then all teams must complete the objective for the game to end. This is a common setting for racing games. End game on match point win. If this is set to yes, the game will finish when one player or team has won enough rounds that they cannot be beaten. For example, in a game with 5 rounds, if one player or team has won 3, this would be the end of the game, similar to how some professional sports playoff rounds are determined. Victory conditions are conditions that determine which player or team wins a game. Fastest time win, when enabled, the player or team with the fastest round win time wins the overall match. Game win condition is the overall win condition for the game, whether it's most round wins or most score wins. These settings determine what happens when a game ends. Collectively, these actions are called the post-game flow. There are 3 possible post-game flows that include Classic, used in the Fortnite Creative games, Battle Royale, used in Fortnite Battle Royale style games, and the custom setting, the post-game type, which gives you a chance to write your own text messages and customize the colors and animation used in post-game messaging. This is pretty straightforward. I typically just use the classic setting, but if you want to customize the end screen to your liking along with the flow of endgame, you can do so here. If you want me to do a more in-depth video of different looks for post-game settings, feel free to leave a comment. This is all for the mode settings. The next video in this series will be about the round settings, player settings, and the world settings. Thanks for watching, stay spicy, I'm out, peace.